Hello. So I thought I would start doing a daily video update during the coronavirus pandemic that's happening right now, just for future people who might find it interesting. Because I thought it would be nice to get the perspective of someone who's just a normal person, um, not got anything to do with the government or health care or anything like that. So the date today is the 13th of March, Friday the 13th of March 2020. The virus outbreak started happening. I think we first heard about it in January, but technically the first cases were in November in Wuhan in China. And now it's in the UK. It's been in the UK for a few weeks, and in the few weeks the cases went from zero to, I think today they said there was 800. There's been 800 cases and 11 fatalities so far. It's in Scotland. That's where I am. I'm in Edinburgh, um, in West Lothian, and yeah, it's just been escalating rapidly ever since we first heard in January. So the first that I heard of it, they were like, "Oh, there's this new virus in China, and a few people are sick, and it's a totally new, it's some virus we've never seen before, and they think it's come from. There's all kinds of ridiculous rumors. It's come from. Someone told me it had come from people eating porcupines, which is not true, and then people said it was because people were eating bat soup, which is also not true, but it appears to be a disease that lives in bats. It doesn't affect the bats, and then it's somehow got contaminated some meat at this meat market in Wuhan in China, and then people have eaten contaminated meats and then they've become sick. So that's what they're saying anyway. I don't really know. Um and it got a little bit worse in China, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't gonna be that bad." I was like, "No, it's gonna be kind of bad," and uh, you know, a few people get like Ebola was pretty bad, but it just stayed in Africa essentially the whole time. So they managed to contain it really well. That's what I'm trying to say. I thought they'll be able to get that under control. They'll keep the death toll low, um, and we don't need to worry about it. It's a super selfish mentality to have, obviously, but that was just my thinking. I was like, this is going to be like bird flu. It's going to be like swine flu. It's only going to be like 5 cases, and then it's going to go away. Um, but then lots of people started comparing it to SARS. I don't remember SARS. I wasn't very old when that happened. Um, but that one was not as many cases, but really serious. When it infected the people, it had a quite high mortality rate. The doctors were comparing it to that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty bad." So some people started panicking. I still wasn't that panicked, and then it kind of spread a little bit into Iran and the Middle East. Iran has it pretty bad, and then it went into Italy, um, and we thought, okay, just people were flying into Italy. It'll be a couple of people that have been to China, they'll have it, and then it'll be fine. But that's not what's happened now. It's gotten really out of hand in Italy, and the whole country was the first country in Europe to completely lock down. So the whole country of Italy, first it was a city was on lockdown, and then the whole region was on lockdown. And what I mean by lockdown is like nobody's allowed in or out of the country. Their flights aren't going in and out. The schools are closed. All the schools, all the universities, all the nurseries. Shops are closed except for supermarkets and pharmacies. Um, People are being told to stay at home. They're not going into work. They're not going into school. Anyone who's had any kind of sickness isn't allowed to leave the house. And I think I'm not sure what the latest figures in Italy were, but 10,000 people had the virus, and they'd had 1,000 deaths. Um, in weeks, not that long at all. And still for them, even though they've already had 1,000 deaths, the daily number of new people with the virus is still exponentially growing. It's not slowed down yet. So that's kind of terrifying. So people in the rest of mainland Europe start to freak out. Uh, Spain, France, Germany, and their cases have started to slowly creep up now. Italy's still the worst hit at the moment, but it's still developing in the other countries. So it's gotten pretty serious, and now several countries are locked down. I think Sweden's locked down. Spain's about to be locked down completely. Nobody in or out. Everyone has to stay at home. All the schools are closed. All the schools are closed in Ireland. The schools are closed in France, Germany. The schools are closed in America as well. The UK is like, the Prime Minister is pretending it's not happening. He's like, no, this is fine. Like, no, it's like he thinks that we all need to catch it to have herd immunity. 60% of the population need to catch it. So he's just going to let it run its course. Because I can't remember what the reasoning was. They want to delay the peak of the virus until the summer holidays, the school summer holidays, because that's when people have less, like, their childcare commitments are more organised. And the heat of the summer should kill it off, because it's kind of a winter flu virus. So he thinks if most of us can have had it by summer, by the time winter rolls round again, we'll be safer from it. Because they won't have a vaccine for this by winter time. It's March 13th now. So they're not going to be able to make a vaccine in time for this winter season. So it's going to come back again. And it'll probably mutate, so it'll be similar, but we'll just catch it again. Doesn't sound very good to me. Anyway, it's not a good plan. So the Prime Minister's not shutting schools, he's not shutting nurseries. Lots of musical artists, like, I don't know who. Can't think of anyone specific, but all the concerts are getting cancelled. All the football and the rugby's all being cancelled. Right now they're talking about cancelling the Olympic Games. They're talking about cancelling the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, which would just be crazy. It's never happened. Like, it feels like we're in a movie or something, like some kind of weird dystopian future sci-fi. Like, it's just unbelievable. So I've got this like screen up that I thought I would check every day for the daily update for this vlog thing. So today, as of today, I'll turn the camera around. You can see my fabulous living room. Can I turn the camera around? I don't know. Maybe I can't. Okay, whatever. I'll just do it this way. Okay. Okay, coronavirus cases 145,000. Deaths 5,400. Oh, it's the global cases. So yeah, it only passed 5,000 today. So there's been like 1,500 deaths in one day or something? I don't know. And there's also a chart of the rate that it's going up, and it's not slowing down. Hang on. There's like a graph of the cases per day and the deaths per day. So I'll show you these two. You see those? They're just going up and up. It's mad. It's just problematic. I can't. Anyway. So yeah. So also sadly, Paul, my fiance, we're engaged. Oh, do you see my engagement ring? Ooh, my fiance. He has a cough. So he's a cough. What they've told us the symptoms are, I don't mean to sound so skeptical, they've told us, I don't really trust anything the government's saying. The symptoms are a dry cough, a fever, not necessarily both at the same time, but a cough or a fever, or both. And then that lasts for a while, and then that can get worse and turn into a pneumonia and shortness of breath. And then you need to go to the hospital at that point because you need oxygen. But the NHS doesn't have enough ventilators if everyone gets sick. So I don't know what's going to happen. The mortality rate for people my age is really low, but for people over 80, it's like 15%. It's really high. So we're all a bit worried about our grandparents. I still have all four of my grandparents still alive, and they're all 80. So that's a bit scary. I don't want them to get sick, but that might happen. We've got to sort of think about those possibilities. Um, and Paul's parents are a little bit older as well. They're like kind of nearly 70, which is also kind of dangerous. And they've got other health problems. So we're a little bit scared. Also, people are being crazy in the shop. They're everyone's panic buying everything because it's like, oh, we're gonna have to self isolate. You're not allowed to leave your house for 7 days or however long if you're sick. So you're not allowed to leave the house. So people are going to the shop and they've bought all the shelves. I went tonight to Tesco. I told Paul to stay in the car because of his cough. We don't know what his cough is yet. We're gonna wait and see what happens with that. Um, uh, there's no pasta. There was no rice. There was no soap. There's no hand sanitizer. There's no toilet paper. There's no paracetamol or ibuprofen. I just picked up this so we can check if we get sick, if we have a fever, and then we have to stay home because if you have a fever, you're not allowed to leave the house. But luckily, I'm staying with Paul's parents right now. They have a tendency to just gather lots of food anyway, always, not specifically to this. So we have actually quite a significant pasta stockpile in our house anyway. So I think we'd probably be fine for a couple months to just literally live off of the brown pasta. But it wouldn't be very fun, but we'd live. Um it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain what it feels like. I feel kind of anxious about it all, but also I don't know if it's just hysteria from everyone or not. We need to wait and see. But our engagement party is meant to be happening on the 8th of April. No, that's my birthday. My birthday's on the 8th of April. The engagement party's on the 11th of April. And I'm worried that that might get cancelled. Me and Paul were supposed to be going to an archaeology conference in Split in Croatia in late April, and that's being cancelled. And we're having to cancel our flights and we're not going anymore because nobody's flying anywhere. Yeah. I'm just going to keep updating every day because I think it's maybe got some historical value. And if I think of anything else important that I should add in, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you what happens with Paul's cough and everything. Maybe we're just being drama queens. It might be fine. Like, I don't know. Um, yeah, and if we do anything fun while we're in self isolation, I'll update you about that too. But anyway, that was my day one coronavirus pandemic situation update, and I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, bye bye.